All right, ladies and gentlemen, we just have had our first, our first WhiWa reset of version 2.3, the anniversary patch. And boy, oh boy, do they have some pretty exciting stuff in store for us. New tokens, new enemies, new stages. We'll be covering all of it right now. And we've already done a little bit of pre-gaming ourselves to get us onto the 11th boat. And then we'll be checking out Infinite Torrents. And the buff that we're going to be having in Infinite Torrents is going to be really important because WhiWa has had a history of some very, very, very troubling buffs. And so I wanted to take the time to actually experience all of it myself and then give a final take. So the first area that we're going to start off with when it comes to this playthrough and overview is, of course, the new tokens. And boy, oh boy, do they have a lot of interesting stuff available. The very first thing to note is that the gold tokens have been shifted dramatically. If you're all familiar with the past reset, one thing that we had was this token over here that would give you a whopping 40% crit rate and 80% critical damage after using an intro skill. And what that meant was that it was really easy to have really strong builds that would do a fuck ton of damage, and WhiWa became a lot easier to clear for a lot of people. I am sorry to say that token is no longer in this reset. Instead, it's going to be replaced by a plethora of other gold tokens, the first one being the wave that cleanses the world. And what this thing does is that after casting a liberation, you're going to get a 36% spectral damage bonus per second for 15 seconds to the active resonator, and that stacks up to 4 times. What I'm imagining this actually does is for every liberation cast on your team, that gives that 36% damage bonus, and then it'll shift to the next active unit. So maybe you start it on Verena, and then you go on to Phoebe, and then you're at like 72, you go on to Zani, and then you use the last one, and you're at like 108. I think I did my math right. Yeah, you'd be at like 108. And then you use Zani's second liberation cast, and then you're going ahead and you're maxing it out at like 100, what is it, like 44 or something like that? I'm too lazy to do the math at the moment, but you obviously know what's like going on. So that's how it's going to work. It'll transfer over and over to like the next active resonator that you have, and then eventually you hopefully can stack it all up onto your desired spectral damage character of choice. This is going to be really good for a Jinxie, maybe a Spectral Rover, maybe a DPS Phoebe, a lot of different characters that are capable of using this one. So, yeah. But Zani is probably going to be the best one of all to use it because of the fact that she has 2 liberation casts. So something to keep in mind. Now we're going to have the finale that fails to reach. And unfortunately, I've had the chance of actually trying this out, and I don't think it's actually that good. So each time you defeat a target, you clear any mob, you're going to increase the attack of all the resonators in the team by 9%. And that's going to stack up to 10 times. So 90% attack after clearing 10 enemies. Unfortunately, when compared to buffs that just give raw amplification, like this bad boy, I saw on my Gion team a difference of about 1,000 damage per tick when this thing was fully stacked up. You know, going from 13k with this thing all the way up to 14k with this one. And so I'm not sure, maybe I was like fighting into some type of resistance I wasn't paying attention to, but it doesn't actually seem like that much of an increase, especially compared to something like this that just amplifies all attribute damage by 25%. So do keep that in mind. This could be considered a bit of a bait, but we will be trying it out and then maybe running some comparisons to some of the other tokens that are already in the game before drawing our final conclusions. I just know it wasn't that great for me when I tried it out. Last one is going to be the Resolve that burns for all or nothing. And this thing is going to be casting an intro skill is going to give all resonators in the team 150% liberation damage bonus for 15 seconds. And boy, oh boy, if you're playing a character like Zhang Liao, you're going to have a really, really good time with this. Maybe even a Kuro too. Because 150% liberation damage bonus, it's like more than like some of the shit we're seeing over here. Like this thing stacked up fully is what? 4 times. It's like 144%. This thing is just 150% from using one intro skill. Would be really good. Could be really good. So we might give that one a try as well. When it comes to all the other tokens that are going to be in the game, they're pretty much exactly the same. You got the rare pact assistance token, which sucks balls. You have the liberation damage, or you have the basic attack crit damage going up after casting a liberation, and then a reduction of your resonant skill cooldown. I don't know if anyone actually uses this one. It's a little bit janky. And then you got the Pilgrim's Captain Seal, which goes ahead and resets cooldowns as you use your liberation, or use your resonant skill. You can use your liberation more. And then we got the Plunderer's Captain Seal, of course, which scales with HP recovery. Baisha is the GOAT. And then we got Amplify, all attribute damage by 25%, just a baseline one. Then the bust to heavy attack, basic attack, and then just like a straight up buff to crit damage whenever you use an intro skill. And then all of our basic attribute damage buffs over here. So that's gonna be that. We've already cleared all of the boats up until 11. 11's supposed to be the hardest right before Infinite Torrents. So I think it's a good stage for us to test out everything and give everything a bit of a fair shake. So on this side over here, there's gonna be a bit of an electro resistance going on. And so what I wanted to do was actually give the Zani and Phoebe team a bit of a try. It wasn't that good in the last WhiWa reset, but I want to see how it does with the Spectral damage buff. And on this stage over here, with the arrow resistance situation going on, why not give the Resolve That Burns for Nothing a bit of a try? Let me just double check all my builds to make sure that they're good to go.
No rush.
And I think we're good. Let's give it a try and then see how good these tokens are. So we're just going to go onto Shorekeeper, go back onto Zani, pass that skill, and then get some stuff going on Phoebe over here. We're not going to have very many buffs in this very first rotation, unfortunately, because A, we have no energy because we started off on the Concerto side. So do keep that in mind. What you're seeing damage-wise over here isn't actually that good. And we don't have a lot of blazes either. So we're just going to do this rotation pretty quick.
What a waste.
And get ourselves moving into the next one.
Leave it to me. Perish. Answer me.
Oh, we tanked a hit there.
Power of the Sentinel. In war with time. Sentinel protects me.
And then do Phoebe's attacks.
Purify.
And then go back onto Zani.
All yours. All of you at
And
once.
let's do some damage.
Come at me. Reduce to dust. Don't stand in my way.
Some pretty good AoE swings over here. Not having too much of a problem at all clearing any of these. And then let's finish it off with the Shorekeeper Liberation. I am using somebody else's account, but they don't have like super crazy investment across these units. I think the Zani's at like 40% crit rate. So if you see her missing any of those big hits, well, that's why.
Modulation. Loading. Okay. Sentinel protects me.
Okay, how do we not?
In the name of Imperator. Come at me. All yours. I can spend a minute.
Oh, these guys are just stuffing me. They're stuffing my hits.
Reduce to dust.
And I guess that's that. You can clearly see boat 11 is pretty easy, especially if you got this team ready to go. That buff seems to be quite strong, if I'm frankly being honest.
It's complete overhaul.
Okay, that was a mistake.
Photosynth luminous energy. The fruit of evolution.
Tear them to pieces. Now Zap String. It's our curtain call.
That is a lot of damage.
Elimination. Pierce
Wait.
through the stars.
Okay, the mobs. I'm also on EU, so that costs them. Oh my god.
Exploit. Prime. Reconfiguration.
Yeah, we horribly misplayed that first rotation. But yeah, it seems that it doesn't really matter too much.
Your time is over.
Bask in the
That is a
sunlight.
lot of damage.
The fruit of evolution.
Tear them to pieces. Time to wrap it up. Back off.
Variable elimination.
I kind of just want to see what this does. Boom.
Confines within limits. Exploit. Prime. Reconfiguration. Conditions optimal.
Tear them to pieces.
Listen up. The fruit of evolution.
That seems pretty solid.
Tear them to pieces. Obey me. Good. There's no time to waste. Watch and learn. I've had enough. Get lost.
Variable elimination. Pierce through the
That seems
stalk.
pretty solid.
Watch out. Reconfiguration. Complete overhaul. Reconfiguration.
Oh man, yeah, Zhang Liao might be the meta for this reset, boys.
Tear them to pieces.
That seems a little bit nuts. That seems almost illegal.
The fruit of evolution.
Tear them to pieces.
And of course, right, a lot of people got this guy for free. So, I mean, that seemed pretty solid, right? Yeah, they kind of just melted there. Did that not finish? That's probably because I was griefing half my rotation. Anyways, now we're on to Infinite Torrents. Oh dear, ladies and gentlemen, there is an issue. To activate this buff, you will need to crit the enemies. And without any buffs that work with crit rate, that could be a little bit rough. That is going to be the Infinite Torrents buff. And this is the thing, right? In the prior reset, we had a pretty general damage buff of 50% without any crit. And then this token was giving you 40% crit and 80% critical damage. Right now, you have to crit to get the damage bonus, and there's no tokens that give crit. That could be a problem for some people, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully they toned down on how much HP the enemies have, because I'm going to be real here. I think that there's going to be a couple of people with some very big issues depending on the units that they use. And so with that, we're going to be using the same exact team over here intentionally without that much crit damage. And let's just go ahead and pop in the 1.0 lineup, the legendary 1.0 lineup, ladies and gentlemen. Gian, Verena, and Mortifi on this side, and then see how crazy it all actually is.
All yours.
Leave it to me. Okay. Loading. Judgment time. Power.
No
The
contest.
sentinel.
All yours.
Okay, it's taken us a while to get our energy, but we're just gonna have to do a kind of like naked Zani rotation without a lot of the buffs that we typically would want.
Reduced to dust. Don't stand in my way.
Okay, I'm having a bit of an issue with the camera, but it is what it is.
Waste of
Leave it to me.
time.
Crystals, give me strength. Descend. Load.
Now we're gonna have some crit rate buffs for this rotation.
Sentinel, protect me. Power of the
Shut.
sentinel.
All of you at once.
All right, here we go. Now we got some big buffs going on.
Come at me. Reduced to dust.
That was okay.
Or
Let's see what the Shorekeeper does over here. Okay, she only hit like 3 of them.
Answer me. Purify.
That's a little bit awkward.
Letting war with time. Sentinel, protect
That
me.
Shorekeeper Liberation literally did about 1 tick of damage.
Power of the sentinel. Oh, careful now. I call upon the sentinel.
All yours. I don't have all day.
And let's see how many points we're gonna get over here.
Don't stand in my way. Come at me. Don't stand in my way.
Uh-oh.
Leave
Where
it
is
to
her
me.
intro skill?
Stay calm.
2.9k is pretty okay. I don't think we're gonna be able to get much more than that. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's too crazy hard to get enough points for a clear. But yeah, these are pretty well-built characters with a buff that's pretty synergistic. So yeah, not being able to activate the damage bonus without a crit can make some of your clears maybe a little bit rougher than what you're used to. So it looks like the difficulty of WhiWa has actually gone up.
Leave me alone.
Luminous energy. The fruit of ever.
Some were saying that it was too easy in the past reset,
your power.
so maybe this is the response to those concerns.
Feel my wrath.
It is definitely a little bit harder than it used to be.
Fear no more.
Gian is still absolutely ripping these up, though. Okay, I mean, we're doing 21k ticks over here. That's quite a lot.
Fury boy.
Wait, maybe Gian is just broken.
Listen, bask in the sunlight.
Let's do this another way. Fury boils. Burn! Burn to ashes! You're wide open. Huh. Finale! Lend me your power. Wind Rider.
No! So we even griefed our rotation. We accidentally did a Wind Rider because we were missing like a quarter of our Forte circuit. It is what it is.
Life is in everything. The fruit of evolution.
As you wish. Fury boils. Feel my wrath. Ready for battle. Unstoppable.
That's a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, this Gian is absolutely ripping through multiple waves.
Lend me your power. Fury boils. Burn!
Notice and bask in the sunlight. The fruit of evolution.
Inferno!
Ha!
Fury boils. Burn to ashes. You're wide open. Fear no more. Lend me your power. Fury boils. As you wish.
I will say the worst enemy in WhiWa happens to be, right now, at this moment, the camera. We actually got a worse time on the Gian side, but that's probably due to the fact that I completely griefed one of my liberation casts. And so we probably hit 3k over there if I'm not completely trolling there. So that's something to keep in mind. But I would say this WhiWa reset, definitely a good bit harder than the last one. The nice news is that there aren't any more chop chops though. And we all remember what those chop chops did before. They were kind of like those motherfuckers that kept like slowly backing away from you, causing, let's be honest here, a bit of a fucking issue every single time they would enter the battlefield. They were kind of like not a enemy, not a unit that you found yourself very happy to be going against. And so, thankfully, that issue has been resolved. And so, maybe it'll actually be easier to clear with some other teams that you have in mind. Do also remember that these were the tokens that I was using over here. That stacking 90% attack one. Like I said, I don't think this one is like that strong. I think it's like okay. There are definitely maybe better ones you can use. But for like a Phoebe DPS, a Zani DPS, or like a Jinxie team, I feel like this one is going to be quite solid. And so I guess that's the last thing that we'll do. Why don't we just go ahead and we try out a bit more of a sweaty team? Maybe we go ahead and we try the Zani team with this one. And then we go ahead and then for this bottom team over here, why don't we try something a little bit sweatier? Yeah, we do a bit of like a Jinxie, a Chang-Li, this sort of lineup over here. And why don't we actually swap the sides? We'll go with like the Liberation reliant team up here, and then the team that isn't nearly as reliant on their Liberation down here. And we give this a bit of a try and see just how decent these teams actually are. And I think we'll go Spectra on this side, and then we'll try Jinxie and Chang-Li on this side.
May I pray for hopefully? Well, may I pray
Oh,
for anything?
last thing I wanted to
for
mention,
you?
guys.
It would-
The battlefield is dynamic. Do not let your guard down.
That Gian was also on Jinxie's signature, not his own. So that was a level of performance with Gian just borrowing Jinxie's sig. Hopefully, yeah, I didn't mention that. So his potential is actually a lot higher, and you probably will get higher scores if you do have his signature. So yeah, let's. Yeah, I just realized with Jinxie with that low crit rate, that was the situation. Now let's give this one a try.
Take form. Our lights shine through. Sacred light.
Together we vanquish.
Leave it to me. The fruit of
Together we vanquish.
Okay.
Take 4. Evil be cleansed.
Together we vanish.
Heaven ordains. Banish all vice. Cross bloom. The fruit of evolution.
Together we vanish.
Fluorescent shadows.
Sever. Beckon the
Pretty
divine
decent.
flames.
Break. Sacred light. Oh, stars, heed my calling.
Together we vanish.
Together we fight.
Together we vanish.
Thus it ends.
My blade yearns.
Listen up. Bask in the sunlight.
Pretty decent. Not too bad at all.
Together we vanish. Sever. Be reduced.
Ah, damn.
to
I
cinders.
accidentally wasted a stack.
Strike as one. Take form. Heaven
This mode is
ordained.
terrible. I'm kind of having a good time actually. This is kind of fun.
Sacred light.
Together we vanish. Take form. Together we vanish. Sever. Beckon the divine flame.
I think this Jinsei is E1 though, so do keep that in mind.
Together we fight. Take form. Life is in everything. The fruit of evolution.
Together we vanish.
Thus it ends.
But that is with kind of like some of the big buffs that we have going on too, right?
Together we
Believe me when I say an E1 Jinsei is still, it's good damage. 1,000,000%, but she's not hitting those with just regular tokens. Sure, maybe E1 Jinsei did a lot of the work there, but 3.4k is still pretty significant. I don't even know if S1 matters for Jinsei, because she's going ahead and she's overkilling them when she hits for 500k. The enemies don't have that much HP. So I don't even know if it's like a significant thing because of how much extra damage she's doing. Because guess what, guys? You see 500k, they don't have that much HP anyways. So I'm not sure how much it matters. All right, so we're going to try it out with this team over here.
Crystals, give me strength. Power of the sentinel. I engraft you new. Sentinel, protect me. Repent. In the name of Imperator.
All yours. I can
And let's see how she does on this
knock
side.
some heads around.
With an actual, like, decent rotation at the start.
Don't stand in my way. Reduce to dust.
Oh, it seems better with a decent rotation at the start. Yeah.
Wow, from the soul.
The waste.
Silence.
Pretty big damage.
Purify. Repent. Power of the sentinel. Astral modulation. Sentinel, protect me. I call upon the
Shut.
sentinel.
Come at me. I don't have all day.
Here we go. All right.
Don't stand in my way. Come at me. Reduce to dust.
Oh, we just completely missed that attack. That's unfortunate.
Ordained.
Now I have a report.
Answer me.
Oh, we missed this guy. This guy's really gonna eat into our time. He's really gonna eat into our time.
In war with time. Loading. Sentinel, protect me. Power. The sentinel.
All yours. All of you at once. I don't do overtime. Come at me. Reduced to dust. Don't stand in my way.
Here we go. Boom. Okay, that's a nice little nuke right there.
So that's a wrap.
Now that was beautiful.
Diminish. Judgment time. Purify. Iron graft, you.
Oh no. We're out of time. Yeah, we got a lot better on that time with a little bit more practice, and we're getting like 6.7k playing around, trying out some new teams. So I would say, yeah, maybe the WhiWa reset isn't actually as hard as I thought. Maybe it requiring the critical damage doesn't matter too much in the first place, because I don't think the enemies have as much HP. I think they're a lot easier to kill than the prior resets anyways. So yeah, looks pretty solid to me. I would say, yeah, we used that 90% attack one. Didn't even use the liberation buffer. And, yeah, I would say some very, very solid stuff. Hopefully, this has shown that it's not too crazy to get some decent scores in this game mode. And peace out.